Right, so I'm back in a World of Fallout 4, back on absolutely nothing. I'm back in my stadium right here. So yeah, every now and again I get asked the question as to how I make these battles in Fallout 4. So I thought I'd dedicate a video telling you how exactly I do this. I'm gonna pull back the curtain. This is gonna be behind the scenes, although this is actually quite literally the scene. So behind the scenes would be this, I guess, which is not that pretty, but that is pretty much where I hide in order to record these episodes. So this is my balsa wood flooring right here. I very much like it, and I always jam around about it. But anyways, I'm going to be showing you how exactly I record these battles, and I guess it's going to be overall just a console command guide, a cinematic Fallout 4 guide for PC, because I use a PC, and most of everything I'm going to be telling here is going to be for PC. So maybe some of the methods apply to console, but I mean, I got this game on PC. The PC allows you to do a heck of a lot more than the console allows you to do. So this is going to be primarily for PC with console commands. The naming is quite confusing, but PC has this thing called a console, which is this thing right here. And you use console commands in this console, not to be confused with gaming consoles. Those are entirely different things. So this is a console on PC, which you don't have on the consoles. If you're still with me, we're going to be using this console right here in order to process commands, which allow us to do various wonderful things in the world of Fallout 4. So first things first for this stadium right here, you know, I started out minimalistically. I started out right next to a BP shipwrecked oil tanker, but I upgraded a long time ago to this stadium, which I built on top of the sanctuary. It's still floating. I'm not quite sure how, but I do like it. We also got this UFO right here, which I still need to get rid of, but I'm kind of too lazy to do that. Later on, I upgraded this stadium to incorporate some more magnificent materials. So we got the balsa wood right here, we got some marble, and we got some glass. And then we got the settlers up there. I just spawned those in. They just sort of linger around there, and every now and again they get shot by things that wander about here. But anyways, enough about that. So how do I actually make these episodes? Well, as I mentioned, I use the consoles, so, you know, we just think of what we want to put up against each other, and then we just try something out. So, say I want to get some Mirelurks in here, I type help Mirelurk, and then we can use 0 here, and then it gives us a gigantic list of all types of Mirelurk things. So we can narrow down that search if we type in help Mirelurk for and then NPCs. So this narrows down the search to just include NPCs, which I guess is a class. But anyways, you can just find various codes for creatures that way, or you can just look them up online. You know, if you type that into Google, you get like a console command code for the creature. So in order to get that creature right next to you, you just type player dot place at me, and then you type in the code. So we can see some type of Mirelurk right here, 111 EB6. There's some zeros in front of that, but you don't need to type those out. Unless it's DLC, then there's going to be like a weird other number in front of that, and you need to type out the full thing. But for everything that's vanilla and not DLC, you don't have to type out the zeros. So 111 EB6, we got that. Then we're gonna just throw 10 in here. Okay, so we got 10 Mirelurk in here. Now these are not attacking me right now because I disabled AI. That's another pretty handy thing for these battles. You want to be able to toggle AI on and off. So we got two types of AI toggles. We got Tai and Takai, which stands for toggle AI and toggle combat AI. Now AI is just the general AI, that's pretty much everything, and then combat AI is people trying to murder you. So your safest bet is just to disable everything, because that ensures they don't attack you and they don't move. But you can just, you can pick one, or you can pick two, you can pick whatever the fuck you want. And we're just gonna disable that again, because I don't want to get clamps all over my face. But as you can see, we're sort of stuck right here. So what we want to do is we want to be able to fly just right through this. Well, actually I can just jump, but if they're bigger, more disgusting crabs, you usually can't really go through them. That's quite difficult. So what we want to do is we want to be able to disable clipping. And the way we do that is we just type in TCL. Now all these console commands are in various lists online everywhere. They've been around since the dawn of time. So, you know, if this is a tiny bit too fast for you, you can just read them at your own leisure from some type of online list. It's just give you an impression of what type of console commands I use. But anyways, we disabled clipping here, which allows us to just pass straight through things. It's pretty handy. So we got some creatures over there. Then we just drop down again. And let's see, what do we want here? Somebody fears. So whenever I think fears, I just think Liberty Prime. So we're gonna put up Liberty Prime right here. So we just type in help, and then Liberty. And then just to narrow down the search, we're gonna put down for NPC. Additionally, you just type in 0, that pretty much shows everything. There's not a lot of Liberty Primes that are in the game, so you don't actually have to specify your search there, but we got 1080 17. So we're gonna type in player.place at me 1080 17, and we got Liberty Prime right here. Now we're thinking like, wow, this is gonna be a really fierce battle. So I wanna be able to witness this. How do I do this? Well, that is what that little platform is for. We're gonna just stay right here. We're gonna type TCL again so things don't float, and then we're safely away from the action, but we can still hear things. So in order to get that cinematic camera angle, we don't use TCL for that. We use this different command called TFC, which is toggle free cam, which basically is a floating camera which is away from your actual body. So just think of like a drone. We're operating a drone right now, so, you know, we got that opponent right there, we got those crabs right here. Usually what I do at this point is I just save the game, so, you know, I got like a state to work out from. If this is shit, I just scratch it, or I adapt. I just, you know, I mix around things. I see what looks cool, and then I just roll with it. So at this point, you know, I would type Tai and Takai again, and then the AI is enabled, and Liberty Prime doesn't look very interested. Yep. Well, he's just killing those crabs right there. That is easy pickings right there. Just timing that crab right there. And that's the last one.
Will never be defeated.
Yeah, well, that was pretty simple, I guess. Not really too exciting, so at this point I probably placed down more crabs there to make this more exciting. This was kind of pathetic. But you get the point here, I guess. So, you know, you might think like something is off here. Well, first of all, I'm using the mouse right now. As I am on PC, I usually use the mouse for my own comfort because it's quicker to use, but the mouse doesn't really give you smooth camera panning because, you know, it's not really like a smooth analog input like a controller is. So what we just do is we enable a controller. So I do have a controller laying on my desk, and then we just save that, and now we get some nice controller footage right here. You know, we could fly in, whoo, really cinematic. You can see Liberty Prime's crotch plate right here, in high detail too. Wow, look at that crotch plate. So that's that, and then I also disabled the HUD, which is just another option. So we actually go back into the menu right here, and then it's like HUD opacity right here. We're gonna scroll that all the way down, and now it's really cinematic already. Whoa, look at that. Then another thing right here is that I use like a sequence of console commands, so you can actually place a bunch of console commands in a notepad file and throw that into your game folder. And then what you can do is run the name of that notepad file as a bat. So you're a tiny bit confused right now as to what that means. So say I want to execute 2 console commands right after each other, and I don't want to type them out fully every single freaking time to save myself some typing work. You place those 2 console commands in that notepad file with a little semicolon after the first one and after the second one. So say it's like player dot add blah blah blah. You just paste the first line in that notepad file, not in the console right here, and then the second console command, whatever the fuck that might be. You get those 2 in there. You save that notepad file as bloody-blah.txt. You throw that notepad file into your game folder, and then what you can do in the actual console in the game, you can type in bat and say you name that bloody-blah. You're gonna type down bat.blah-blah, and it will execute that notepad file. So that saves you some time. I got like bat H, which does various things. So it disables AI, combat AI. It sets my camera movement speed to like a certain amount so I can move around freely enough. It enables God mode as well, which is a pretty useful command. So and it's sort of the basics right here as to how I do these battles. So I guess now you can go copycat me on YouTube and get like millions of subscribers. And as I've already mentioned, if you want a full list of the console commands, there's literally millions of Game Informer, IGN, whatnot lists out there telling you, oh, these spicy console commands, the most used ones. So I'm actually going to go over a few more console commands which I didn't really know about. So, you know, we got our character right here. If we type in TFC, we got the free cams, so you know, now we can like showcase our character right here. Wow, look at how cool he looks with his little Rick Grimes uniform, old shotgun. This is a really old save actually, so this has got like my newbie gear, that rubber car tire around this back. I don't think that's gonna be awfully bulletproof, but whatever. So yeah, my character kind of looks like shit, but say for some reason I want to look at my character really cinematically. You know, we got the TFC enabled right now. What you can do is suck asm, and then you can give that a value. Say you can go from like 0.001 all the way up to 5 million. I actually don't know what the cap is, but like 1 is nice and slow for a controller. You know, you got some control here. You can really do some cinematic panning, some movement. This already looks way more cinematic than just a bland still frame. This does not look interesting. So what we do is we just do some slight zooming. Wow, this is very cinematic. Look at this high detailed shotgun right here. It's got 12 gauge on the thing. We can also slow down time just the slightest amount. So we got this command called SGTM, which is set game time, and say we want like half the speed. Look at that slow motion right there. We can slow that all the way down to 0 as well to have the world freeze all around us, or 0.01 if you want some real slow motion. So say what we can do is go back to our character, set the game time to 0.001, and we fire a gun, then TFC again. Wow, look at how cinematic that is. Slow motion right here. Really cool frame. We can actually speed this up somewhat more if you want to get that shell moving and get like a cool shot out of that. You know, you can do a lot of things with these console commands. So now we're back in normal time, so let's see what else we got. We can disable things. So say I want to get rid of Liberty Prime, I could just click on him and type disable, and now he's gone forever. I can actually rebuild him too. And say I just hate everybody around me and I want to kill everything, I just type in kill all, and everybody fucking dies. Except me, because I got designer sunglasses, so death does not affect me. Yeah, I think that was kind of everything I wanted to go over. I didn't really plan out too much for this video, as you might have been able to guess by me just rambling on incoherently, but yeah, this is sort of the basics of the console commands. I also got this pretty handy dandy mod tool thingy-majigger that's up here, so say you don't know anything about console commands, there's like a bunch of console commands you can scroll through here. I'll be sure to list this mod in the description. I don't really use it that much anymore because I know most of the console commands from the top of my head. And yeah, I think that was pretty much that. So go ahead and create your very own Fallout 4 videos. If you got a PC, that is. If you got a console, well, I guess you can use some of the cinematic camera angle techniques I've been over. So, you know, zooming, that's the key. But yeah, that was that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it informative, be sure to leave a like. And I will see you in the next episode.